Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Andra Makes. Today I'm going to be sharing with you what I made for the 90s decade for my Make 9 2023 challenge. It's where I'm sewing a pattern from each of the past 9 decades, from the 40s through the 2020s. I did this last year also. I will put a link to last year's playlist in the description box, and I'll also put a link in the description box for what I've made so far for 2023. I'm almost finished. So far I have made this dress from the 40s, this dress from the 60s, this dress from the 70s, these pants from the 80s. Today it's about the 90s. I have made this from the 2000 to 2010 decade, that top, and then I made this set for the 2010 to 2020 decade. So I only have 2 more to go, the 50s and then from the 2020 to 2023. Okay, so today, like I said, it's all about the 90s. I'm going to be showing you my garment up close on a hanger and then inserting pictures of me wearing it and also footage of me trying it on for you. So today it is McCall's 5616. This is from 1991. I got this from a thrift store for 19 cents. I used 2 fabrics and both of them were given to me. So, not including my time to make this, I have 19 cents invested in this beautiful dress. I think it's beautiful. And I made, here's the pattern. I made view B, but I made it with long sleeves. Now mine isn't going to be this long, and I'll explain that in just a second. I did make a few changes to the pattern, and this calls for a zipper up the back. And I found it interesting that all the fabrics suggested for this are wovens, except they had all kinds of wovens listed, and then the last 2 were knit fabrics. So I made mine from knit, and I thought that I wouldn't need a zipper, and I was correct. So instead of cutting the back bodice into 2 pieces for a zip, I just cut it on the fold. It worked perfectly. So thankful I didn't have to do a zip, especially on knit fabric. And the other changes I made, they wanted you to use a front and back facing. I didn't do that. I just turned mine under and hemmed it. And the length, like I said, is not as long as the pattern because I only had 2 yards of fabric. So I made it as long as I could with the fabric I had. And the only pattern pieces for this were the front bodice, the back bodice, the front skirt and the back skirt, and the pocket and sleeves. Now they did have 2 facing pieces, but like I said, I didn't use those. Okay, this is going to blow your mind if you don't already know about it. It blew mine, and I think I'm going to do this from now on. Anything that has to be gathered, like a skirt or a flounce or a tier or something like that. Okay, I wanted to try this to see if it worked. It worked perfectly. I am so thrilled. Okay, here's what I did. Instead of, normally when you have something gathered anywhere, you will sew, for example, let me show you here. This skirt portion, of course, is gathered into the bodice. And normally what you do is go ahead and make the bodice front and back, and you sew the bodice underarm seam and side seam. And then you get your front and back skirt portion and you sew the side seams of it together, and it's in a huge tube, and then you gather that huge tube. Okay, I didn't do that. What I did was I sewed my shoulder seams to the front and back bodice, and I put the sleeves on, and I did the neckline, just folded it under and stitched it down, but I didn't sew the underarm or the side seams. So I didn't sew my 2 skirt pieces together either. I just left them in 2 separate pieces. So I gathered the front skirt portion by itself, and then I sewed it onto the front bodice by itself. Like I said, no side seams or anything had been sewn. So then I did the same thing for the back. I took the back skirt portion and I gathered it. It was all by itself, not in a tube. And then I sewed it to the back bodice piece. And then I sewed the underarm seams and the side seams and all the way down the skirt seams. So much easier to handle, so much easier to gather, get the gathers even. I hope that makes sense, and I highly recommend trying that the next time you need to gather something like that. I think that's going to be my go-to method from here on out. Okay, here is my dress, and the fabric, I'm so excited about this. This was given to me by my good friend Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. I'll link her channel in the description box. But if you remember, several of us got together in March and she brought a bunch of fabric. Well, several of the ladies did. And I picked this. I love it so much. This is so me. Let me get in close so you can see it. So pretty. It's a knit fabric. It was a dream to sew. The edges didn't curl. They stayed flat the entire time. Highly enjoyable. Okay, I only had 2 yards of this. So like I said, I already had to make my skirt portion shorter with the fabric I had to work with, and I didn't have enough for the sleeves. So I looked in my stash and I found this. This was given to me several years ago by my sister-in-law. It's a sweater knit. It's beautiful. It feels like cashmere. I'm sure it isn't, but it has that feel, just to give you an idea. Let me get in close so you can see that. It's so pretty. And another addition I made, I'm 5'11", have super duper long arms, and when I tried this on after I made it, the sleeves fit perfectly in the length, but I hadn't hemmed them yet. So I just added a little bitty cuff on the bottom of the hem. Hope you can see that. And then that made them long enough. And then here is the skirt portion. You can see that there. And it does have pockets. There they are. But this is my dress, and there's the back. Really enjoyable, so relatively easy, relatively quick. So now I'm going to insert pictures of me wearing it and also footage of me trying it on for you. Okay, here it is on. I wanted to show you the sleeves up close. This fabric is so pretty, I think. And then there's where I added the extra length, that little bitty cuff right there. And now I will get up on the steps so you can see the entire thing. Here it is. You can see the dropped waist there. I want to show you how low these pockets are. I'm 5'11" and have super duper long arms, but look how low these pockets are. That's my arms straight down. So I can imagine for people who are a little bit shorter what it would be like. Do you think that's weird? Anyway, and there's the length, a little bit shorter than the pattern, but that's all the fabric I had. And here's the back. So this is what I made for the 90s decade for my Make 9 2023 challenge. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.